The Pacers and how they got here, it's just one of the all-time, like, how in the hell did they win? How did they come back against Cleveland? How did they seriously came back against the Knicks again? Can this team just go away?
How is that bad? How is it bad to defy the odds and to prevail and to come from behind? You're telling me that's bad for the sport? Are you insane? Are you senile? That's great. That's dramatic. That's exciting. That's unpredictable. That's everything you've been asking for.
I think it's fluky right now. That is why I am more interested in what is going on in the Stanley Cup for the first time ever, by the way. Obviously, it's a Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. But for the first time ever, going into a weekend where the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup are going on at the same time, I am more interested in what is going on with the Stanley Cup for everything that unfolded in Sunrise last night.
I don't understand that at all. I would understand if the NBA Finals series was going as everyone expected to. You had the Oklahoma City Thunder, a historic regular season, going against an Indiana Pacers team who were a big underdog who no one saw them go this far. They were X number of games under 500 the All-Star break. But I look at what has transpired through these NBA Finals, and it's been anything but predictable. And I know you went to the Stanley Cup Finals 2.5 periods last night, and you weren't able to see those historic moments, but I still think that we've gotten a lot of intrigue from the NBA Finals because it has not been what we expected. We're actually having a series. That's all I asked for. Coming into it, yeah, the brands aren't flashy. That's fine. Give me good games. We got an all-time buzzer beater in Game 1 where the underdog prevailed on the road, continuing the trend of Tyrese Haliburton coming up big in the clutch time and time and time, and the fourth time in the NBA Finals again. So how can you not be interested in that, at least at the same level as the Stanley Cup Final?
888-760-3776. That is the Baptist Health Hotline to call on in. Do you agree with Christian Cat? Are you flying high with the NBA Finals right now? Or are you more with me? Are you more in tune with the Stanley Cup Final? And I understand people around here definitely more in tune with the Stanley Cup Final because of the Panthers being in it and it being 2-2 and it being a riveting series. But I truly think if you're a sport fan who watches both the NHL and the NBA, and listen, with how great the Panthers are and me being entrenched in this Panther run and
not entrenched enough to stay,
going to games and doing pregame shows and going on out to great places like Duffy's and Plantation to do pregame shows with the voice of the 305, Jonathan Zaslow. I mean, listen, I guess it's because of the nature of the beast for me to be more in tune with that. But I told you, Christian, during Theoretically Speaking, I'm waiting for this one-hit wonder to be over. I have no interest in the Indiana Pacers. And maybe the Thunder are one of those great teams. Like Theo, our very own Theo Dorsey said yesterday, he thinks that the Thunder are going to win this series, no doubt, and that they could be a threat for years to come. We've had 6 new NBA champions over the last 6 years. The track record is telling us that neither of these teams are going to win it again next year, and that this is going to be a one-hit wonder. I am ready for this to be over. I don't care about the Indiana Pacers and Tyrese Haliburton. I don't care about the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Colin and I have talked about this on this very show, that I am wired like this because all I've been watching my entire life has been starting with Kobe Bryant, then LeBron James, Steph Curry, big-time names, big-time, and big-time to who's, in whose minds, maybe the media outlets, but you get what I'm saying? I grew up with Bron and Curry and Kobe and the back end of Michael. Like, I don't care about Tyrese Haliburton. I got to be honest. I don't care about a guy that's averaging 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists. I don't care.
But he's in the process of making you care by coming up big in the clutch, by having those moments. And if you're just going to be in denial the whole way, when the Pacers are having their championship parade, are you still going to say you don't care?
Yeah,
I don't care. The best in the sport, and they had moment after moment after moment. It's not like we're seeing blowout after blowout like we did in Warriors-Cavs 4th time around. You're telling me you would rather go into a night knowing you have Golden State, Cleveland, Warriors up, 3-0 in the series, you'd be more excited to watch that game than you are to watch Game 4 of the NBA Finals this year?
My issue is I don't comparatively to that team you just said, it was the team with Durant, Curry, and Clay. They'd sweep any of these teams. They wouldn't lose a game to any of these teams right now in the NBA Finals. I don't think any of these teams measure up to some of the all-time greats we've been spoiled with. And you got to give the kid credit. Colin Russo has said on this show, I mean, the NBA has fed us these players for this long. And when they're not here, it's an issue. We don't care because we've been wired to care about the Warriors and Steph. We've been wired to care about LeBron and whatever team he's on. If you root for him, great. But at the same time, if you're sick of him, you're going to root against him and you're going to watch. We could all agree that Steph Curry and LeBron James are, no matter where the hell they are on their list, on your list of all-time greats, they are top 10 players of all time and some of the best at their craft. I don't think there's a top 10 player of all time in the NBA right now.
So are we going to spend the next 25 years saying, remember when? Oh, that was great.
I guess
What'd you have for lunch? That's what we're going to talk about for the next 2 hours on ESPN West Palm, on Sports Talk Radio. Are we just going to long for the past until maybe a baby's born in a West Palm Beach hospital tomorrow that becomes the second best player of all time after LeBron James? Is that what we're waiting on then?
I'm hoping it's Cooper Flagg. I'm hoping it's one of these players that are coming up the ranks in the NBA right now.
Who hasn't proven anything yet, and you're having two teams that have proven it by giving you historically great regular seasons where the Thunder were a week of good basketball away from having a better regular season than the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, with Kevin Durant, and all that.
If you go as far back to the Celtics, Bill Russell and that dynasty, unbelievable teams. The 80s, the Celtics again, and the Lakers, the 90s, Michael Jordan, the early 2000s, the three-peat by the Lakers, then the birth of the San Antonio Spurs, then LeBron James jumps onto the scene. I need something like that. I need something that's going to be able to measure up to what I have watched basketball with. Everything's not about me. I understand that. But at the same time, when you look at the history of this league, it's a bad time for the NBA right now. They're not good teams. I don't think any of these teams are good. Honest to God. And comparatively to the all-time greats through the last 10 years, I think the Kawhi Leonard Toronto.
Stupid. It wasn't a selection from the committee. We didn't get Boise State in the NBA Finals because they said so. These are two teams that earned their ways to get to the NBA Finals. For you to say they are not good teams, what are you talking about? Is this a 2K simulation where variation hurt us a little bit? No. They had 7-game series to prove that they are the better team.
The Celtics missed every shot against the Pacers.
That feels pretty important to be a good basketball team, to make shots.
The Cavs are soft, and the Knicks completely fell on their face.
Yeah, it feels good. It's important to be tough to be a good basketball team, so they're worse teams.
The Pacers and how they got here, it's just one of the all-time, how in the hell did they win? How did they come back against Cleveland? How did they seriously came back against the Knicks again? Can this team just go away?
How is that bad? How is it bad to defy the odds and to prevail and to come from behind? You're telling me that's bad for the sport? Are you insane? Are you senile? That's great. That's dramatic. That's exciting. That's unpredictable. That's everything you've been asking for.
I think it's fluky. The Thunder 68 wins. Can you show me it? You're down 2-1 to a team that won 50 games.
You sound like a 6-month-old baby who's asking to have keys dangled in front of his eyes because he doesn't want to read a book. That's what it sounds like.
Christian, listen, no interest. No interest in this series right now. Absolutely none.
They're giving you reason.
Absolutely. Are there any?
You're complaining because they don't have back-to-back-to-back championships won or appeared in, but it has to happen once at least first. You can't skip from 0 to 12.
Are there any all-time greats that are playing in this in this series right now?
They're young teams. Not yet, but you have to do things when you're in your 20s in order to be considered an all-time great in your 30s. You have to hit 4 incredible come-from-behind, game-tying or game-winning shots with less than a second to go, which Tyrese Haliburton has been doing. This is fantastic.
888-760-3776. Where do you fall on the spectrum of the NBA Finals? Are you bought in? Like Christian, is this one of the all-time runs we're going to see from the Pacers? You buying into the underdog mentality that the Pacers have really played into? And to give them their credit, built a 2-1 series lead over the Thunder? Or are you like me? Are you just not bought into the matchup? Are you not bought into the players? Or you're not bought into the cast that is in the NBA Finals? That is 888-760-3776. That is the Baptist Health Hotline here on ESPN 1063. One thing I will agree with you on, Christian, is that Tyrese Haliburton has earned himself the title of whoever came up with the nickname The Moment. Whatever we want to call Haliburton, one thing we can't ignore, he is very clutch. The game winners that he has been able to, have at the end of these games. What was the stat in the fix? That's a big deal.
It was. I'm
not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not a big deal. All right, you give your credit where it's due. I am just saying my personal opinion. This is not doing it for me, and I know you hate ratings, but the ratings tell the tale for me. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this series going on unless you're living in Indiana and you're living in the Thunder. And we've tried to break down where the root of the issue is. And the root of the issue is that we have been spoiled with all-time greats for the last 35 years in this league and have really been riding high on stars. Stars have been selling this league. Now, you got a plethora of good NBA players. And to your credit, Christian, it could be the greatest basketball ever being played on the court. People aren't bought in. People aren't bought in.
But you're pawning it off as people now, not you.
I am not bought in. I am not bought in by a lot of people around the country. And my kind of numbers that I use are the ratings. Is it a cop-out? Could it be? Do people care about ratings? Probably not. But when I look at ratings, I see 8 million people watch the NBA Finals. That's a disgrace. That's an absolute disgrace that 8 million people are watching the NBA Finals. All-time lows. These are all-time. I'm not going to count COVID for a number of reasons. Politics, whatever you want to blame the COVID years on. I kind of put that by itself. So if you take the COVID years out, this is the lowest the NBA Finals have been in years. I don't understand it. I actually, granted, said the wrong thing there. I do understand it because of everything in the argument that I'm creating here. We are sold for the last 30 years in the NBA on LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and the Lakers and the Celtics in the 80s. 888-760-3776. That is the Baptist Health Hotline here on ESPN 1063. Tom in West Palm is on the Baptist Health Hotline. Tom, what's going on? How are you?
How you doing, man? Hey, I'm agreeing with you 100%. I can care less about Cleveland. Care less about Indiana or Oklahoma City. Those are like expansion teams to me. I know that they've been around for a while, but they're such small markets. I can care less about them. I care about LeBron, Steph Curry, all those people. And the reason why I care about them is because we haven't been sold them. I disagree with that comment from your partner. They sold it to us. So they were great, like Mickey Mantle or Reggie Jackson, or they did stuff. They were fantastic, and they sold it to us. We didn't have to be sold. They did it, and we watched, and we're waiting for someone like that to do it again.
That's great. Well, doing it again is right now. It's happening before your eyes, rather than watching a recap highlight of what happened last year in the NBA Finals, or maybe earlier on in the history of basketball. It's happening before your eyes. You're tuning in, and it's a coin flip on whether or not you're going to get an all-time great game-ending moment from one of these sides, and you're getting a historically great regular season basketball team where you have a David versus Goliath. Am I missing something here? If you don't like what you're watching with the NBA Finals, you probably just don't like basketball. Tom?
No, I love basketball. I grew up on it. New York Knicks. I grew up with them in New York City, but I do love. Been to a million games.
Yes, but it's not like people were in love with the city of Cleveland and the big brand. It took a player to get drafted there to make massive moments in that uniform to eventually leave, break their hearts, come back. Hating the process is what's really, really turning me off right now. The moments are happening. That is what we're seeing right now at the NBA Finals at the highest intensity moments. So if you're saying, well, I'm not going to watch, well, you're screwing yourself, because then you won't care next year when maybe one of or both of these two teams are here next year, because you won't be interested because you didn't watch what happened last year.
I just don't. And Tom, we appreciate the call, Tom. Appreciate you chiming in. I just, Christian, I don't think any of these guys are all-time greats. I don't. I like LeBron.
Not yet. No, obviously not.
Christian, let's give LeBron his credit. He was a wonder kid the moment he stepped on the court at St. Vincent St. Mary in my backyard in Akron, Ohio. And then Steph Curry, with what he was doing in the NCAA tournament, we really never saw with the threes and the craziness, and then getting drafted by Golden State, making a name for himself with the great Steve Kerr who played with Michael Jordan. There's none of that. That's all I'm saying. There's none of that. There's none of that with SGA. Haliburton has a little bit of it with the game-winning shots, but is he a top 10 player in the NBA? Is he a top 15 player
Doesn't
in
matter.
the NBA?
It doesn't matter. Like, just because your rankings might have him elsewhere or his jersey sales might be lower, it means that he's giving us. If you have ABC, he is giving you entertaining product to watch. And if you're not invested in it, that's a you problem, not a player's problem, because they're winning basketball games and they're doing it a little bit selflessly, because if it was up to the Indiana Pacers, it wouldn't take a 13-point comeback in the final 2 minutes. They wouldn't want that drama. They wouldn't sign up for that, but we're getting it, and it's better for the viewer, and it's better for someone who has no dog in the fight to have a miraculous come-from-behind win.
888-760-3776. That's the number to chime on in. The Baptist Health Hotline here on ESPN 1063. We have Pacers and Thunder back in action tonight. And according to our good friends at Hard Rock Bet, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 6.5-point favorites. We got Game 4 about to unfold before our eyes coming up tonight. Are you on the side of Christian? Are you bought in to these NBA Finals? Are you kind of like me, kind of tuned out? Not a lot of, in at least my eyes, not a lot of big-time players, not all-time greats. Or is Christian onto something? Is SGA and Tyrese Haliburton paving the way for themselves to become all-time greats and have great moments within the NBA? We got to